Great. So we are live and I see the audience trickling in. There are already 20 people in this room, so I'm going to wait for everyone to join. But those of you who have joined and are able to hear me, I'm going to do a quick audio check. So if in the chat you can let me know the city and the country you're dialing in from, that would be great. If you're dialing in from India, just let us know the city. But if you're dialing in from outside of India, let us also know the country that you're dialing in from. Alongside good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on the country you are in or the time zone you are in. I see Ishan from Chandigarh. I see Akash dialing in from India. Hi, Ishan. Hi, Akash. Sorry, my apologies. Akash, my pronunciation was wrong. Keep those responses coming in. We are 60 plus people in this room. I want to see where our audience is coming from. So let us know the city and the country that you are dialing in from. Hi, Shobit. Thank you for joining in. I see Sugandha is dialing in from India. Great. Shobhit again from India itself. Great majority of people are from India. So those of you who are dialing in from India, let us also know the city you are dialing in from. It's great for us to see the spread where our audience is coming from, and sometimes that can be very telling as well. So I see Priyanshi from Asansol, West Bengal. I see Shobhit dialing in from Noida. Uh, Himanshu from Ahmedabad. Rabjot from Damoh in Madhya Pradesh. Okay, this is going very fast, but keep those responses coming in. It's great to see where the audience is coming from and the engagement levels as well. We are close to 100 people in this room now. So let me briefly, along while your responses come in, let me start with brief introductions. So my name is Sanjay Dhingra. I'm one of the co-founders and the chief operating officer at a company called Seed Global Education. We are a UK headquartered company with operations across Asia, Middle East, and Africa. And what we do is specialize in facilitating such interactions. We work with some of the best business schools and universities across North America, Europe, and Asia, giving you an opportunity to connect with them, understand, get a taste of their teachings, so get a sample masterclass, and also understand their programs, career opportunities, scholarship options, and more through direct interactions with those schools. We don't do application consulting, so please don't reach out to us for that. We can't help you with that. But in case you're looking for advice on which programs, which country, which university, which school to go to, feel free to reach out to our team for free advising, and we can guide you in this journey absolutely free of cost. With that, let me transition into our today's masterclass. Our today's masterclass is with University of Illinois Chicago, especially with their Leota Graduate School of Business. Our topic is around artificial intelligence. We know that AI is rapidly permeating various industries across, right from edtech to healthcare, to medtech to fintech, you name it, and AI is all pervasive, even in manufacturing. And yet, what we have noticed that there's a significant gap that remains in workforce readiness. It's possible while the industry is evolving much more rapidly, our institutions, academic training is not keeping pace with that. And that's why the workforce or the people like you who are joining this workforce are not feeling ready to tackle these challenges. Our today's masterclass is going to talk about a comprehensive conceptual framework to guide you to become ready for responsible artificial intelligence by integrating stakeholder need analysis. So we'll understand stakeholder needs. We will talk about interdisciplinary training, certification, and also policy guidance. You will learn about how to balance innovation with accountability, understand responsible AI principles, and also learn how to manage AI lifecycle responsibly. Our today's speaker, our expert in this topic, is Dr. Alvin Chin, who is a visiting clinical assistant professor at University of Illinois Chicago's Leoto Graduate School of Business. He's also joined by Dr. Jeff Jewett, who is the assistant dean for business recruitment at the institution, and he will talk about the programs, the various masters and MBA pathways that you can look at if you're looking to study at University of Illinois Chicago at the Leoto School, Graduate School of Business. Before I hand over the screen to Dr. Chin, I'm going to quickly run our first poll for this evening for those of you who are in India. The poll is live on your screens right now. My question to you is, how prepared do you feel to work responsibly with AI tools in your career? So if you're already in job, if you're a working professional, talk to us about how comfortable or how confident you feel with using AI tools ethically. And at the same time, if you're studying, and want to comment from the viewpoint of how your education is preparing you for AI. If you feel very confident, then tell us that. If you're unsure, you're somewhat confident, choose that option. If you're curious but unsure how to use AI responsibly, that's your option. And if you already use AI casually but you don't yet think about the risks of privacy or the challenges that it may arise, then that's your fourth option. I'm going to keep this poll live for another few seconds. So if you haven't responded, please take a moment to respond to this poll. It is very crucial for us to know where you are in terms of your readiness to start using AI responsibly in your careers. All right. I see around 20 odd responses that have come in. I think people are hesitating to respond, so I'm going to wait for a few more seconds. Keep those responses coming in the chat as well, where you're dialing in from. And I am going to end the poll and share the results now on your screen. So while this would be indicative results. I see around 35% of the people use AI casually, but don't think about the risks currently that come associated with it. 30% feel very confident. They actively use AI and understand its risks as well. 20% feel somewhat confident, and 15% are curious, but really unsure how to use AI in their daily work or life or career as well. With that, I'm going to stop the poll, and with that, I'm going to hand over the screen to Dr. Alvin Chin, who is the clinical assistant professor at University of Illinois Chicago, to take us through his interesting masterclass. With that, over to you, Dr. Chin.
Okay, thank you very much, Sanjay, and thank you everybody here joining from wherever you are joining for your time to attend this masterclass. So as Sanjay said, I am Dr. Alvin Chin. I'm a visiting clinical assistant professor in University of Illinois Chicago Business Administration. I'm in the Department of Information and Decision Sciences. And I'm going to be talking about what's very, very important now these days with way that we have with AI and Gen AI systems, which is regarding about responsible AI. In particular, I'm going to be talking about a conceptual framework. So if you are working in the industry or you're an organization, what do you think? What are things that you need to kind of consider or so in terms of making AI responsible, for your organization? So this is work that I started back last year. So just a little brief background. I used to be a research scientist at Discovery Partners Institute, which is an R&D institute. It was formerly part of the University of Illinois system. It is now part of the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. Also, as well, I worked with some professors as well on this work from University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. So I acknowledge the two organizations there. And currently right now at UIC Business, I'm continuing working on this responsible AI. I've been in industry for the past almost more than 15 years since I graduated from my PhD. So my PhD was from doing computer science at the University of Toronto in Toronto, Canada. Okay, so what's the motivation and problem for this particular kind of work? So we know, everybody knows that AI has dramatically affected every industry. There is not any industry out there that has not been affected by AI. Okay, so we all know that various industries are all being affected. But if you remember, I like this kind of quote that comes from, if you've watched the Spider-Man, movie, right? With great power comes great responsibility. Right? Because the thing is that now we are in this age of AI where it's so powerful that it can almost get to the point that it can replace a lot of the things that humans can do. But we need to make sure that it doesn't provide any particular risk or so forth. So what are the risks of AI that can happen? And some of these, you might already, know. It's not an exhaustive list. But for example, I know that, me working in the UIC business, and in the department, a lot of students are concerned about jobs. The jobs that they are wanting to do right now, would they be available when they graduate? So job displacement is one risk. Bias. We know that a lot of times, AI models, and we've seen a lot of news where it's biased towards some particular race or some particular gender, because that's based upon what the model is trained from the data. Privacy concerns, obviously, because when you go ahead, for example, use Gen AI tools like ChatGPT or Google Gemini, when you write the stuff in your prompt or you upload any particular files or images, how do you know what those particular companies are using that data for? And will they be exposing it to others? So privacy is an important part. Deep fakes, everybody knows now that a lot of times, a lot of images, even a lot of video now that is generated, even like, for example, music videos from particular artists. they're not actually real. They didn't collaborate with another particular singer. It was all generated, through AI. So how do we know? How do we kind of protect, those particular people? And how do we know, for example, that what we see here is not the actual, is not coming from a particular famous person, that it was actually generated through AI. And then persuasive AI weaponization, because now these particular technologies can be used for things that are not, for good. So we got to worry about that. We got to be concerned about that. Ethical, right? Is it making sure that it goes, with the ethical principles, that we have, and making sure that it's not something that's going to overtake us, right? So I think it's most important that, humans are still in the loop on this. And so therefore, then the question really is that, how do we prepare the workforce? So those that are in the workforce right now, and even for students, when they get into the workforce, how do we prepare them for responsible AI use? So with that, I'm going to have a poll here. So if you can scan the QR code here. And I want to kind of ask two questions in terms of, is responsible AI being adapted in your organization? Okay. So I'll give you a couple of seconds to do that. And what I'll do here is I'll swap to the screen here. So the first question is, does your organization have a framework or guideline for ethical and responsible AI deployment? You can also join here at menti.com with this code that you see here in the top. So the answers are, yes, we have a framework or guideline, and it has been implemented. The second is, yes, we are developing a framework or guideline, but it has not been implemented. Or no, we do not have a framework or guideline. So I'll give you a couple of seconds to answer. So I'll kind of gauge the audience in terms of, are you guys having any type of responsible AI framework or guideline in your organization where you work?
Dr. Chin, it may help to go back to the QR code. I'm guessing a lot of people have not been able to scan the QR code.
Oh, yeah, sure. No worries. I can do that. All right, there you go.
So I'm going to encourage our audience to respond to the poll as well. So if you can scan this QR code and quickly respond, I'm guessing it's hardly going to take a second to do that. But do respond. It's always good to see what do you feel about the particular topic in question over here.
Okay, so has everybody or most of the people here have scanned their QR code here? Okay, maybe in the interest of time, then I will just see here what we have. Okay, great. So we have some responses here. So it looks like here that, we have some folks here that are developing a framework or guideline, but you haven't really implemented within your organization. Okay, we have some that have a framework and it has been implemented. Okay, that's good to know. And it looks like the majority do not have a framework or guideline. So this is great because I'm going to give you some particular kind of, guidelines and particular tools that hopefully you can use, and kind of rally, your organization, find your champions, find those particular people to help you to implement this responsible AI. And then the next last kind of question I want to ask is that, I'm just curious to know, in what ways has your organization addressed the new skills that are needed to responsibly use AI? So has your organization provided responsible AI courses for training? Does your organization have a responsible AI steering group? Does your organization have a responsible AI director or a manager? And does your organization does not have any of those above? So I'll give you a couple of seconds there to answer that. Okay, so it looks like here that we have a strong majority says that your organization does not have any of those particular kind of skills. So this is really great. Thank you very much for answering the poll. And I think that based upon this, poll answers, this talk that I'm giving is very timely and is beneficial for all of you. Okay, great. Thank you very much. I will return back to my slides here. So we actually also asked these same questions. So we actually did a responsible AI in industry, in fintech, actually, at DPI last year when I was working for them. And we actually also asked, folks that were in Chicago. So we had people coming from industry and also from academia. And we also asked them the same thing too as well. And here's what we found out. So we found out that it was pretty kind of around the board here that some of them had a framework or guideline and was implemented. And then more of them seemed to have a framework or guideline, but it wasn't implemented. And then there were some also too that did not have a framework. So it was kind of like a little bit, balanced, across the board there. And then in terms of for the skills for the organization, so you can see here that the two majorities here is that the organizations, they have provided responsible AI courses for training, and they have an organization that has a responsible AI steering group. So in terms of for Chicago, I mean, I think that we are somewhat kind of a little bit more advanced. I mean, we do have a kind of an AI hub here in Chicago, and I'll mention about one of the organizations that I'm a part of. That is doing this kind of responsible AI for Chicago and also outside of Chicago too as well around the world. So yeah, thank you very much for that. So what I want to present here is that, the thing is that if you're familiar with responsible AI, there's many frameworks, out there. And a lot of them is very, technical. So if you're in the US, you probably have heard about the NIST Responsible Management Framework. So NIST is the National Institutes for Science and Technology. That's a government organization here in the US. You probably also heard of the EU Act in the European Union too as well. And I'm sure, probably India and other countries around the world have also some type of, AI kind of legislation or in terms of like doing some type of responsible AI. But what I want to kind of do here is I want to kind of give you a more of a 360 kind of overview, right? Kind of from above and look at what are particular things that you need to kind of look at to kind of give a holistic kind of view. So when we look at, responsible AI, the way that, we see it is that there's 4 different components of this in creating this particular kind of a conceptual framework. So number 1 is the stakeholder needs. So being able to understand diverse perspectives on AI risk and operations. So figuring who are the particular people in your organization that can help you in terms of assessing what type of AI stuff that you have and what are the risks of that. And then second of all is this pillar, the education, right? So how do we go ahead and develop workforce skills through training programs? The third part is certification. So just like, for example, you have certification, for different types of education programs or certification to see if whether a particular, restaurant or so is hygienic, in terms of for their the food and so forth. We need some type of, kind of checks too as well, for AI models. And then lastly, of course, for policy, right? So the thing is that how do we make sure that we can establish rules and governance for AI use? And if you want to know more details about this, we did write a paper. It's in the IEEE International Symposium on Engineering, Science, and Technology that was actually held last year in Northwestern University, which is another university in the Chicago area. So let's go through the first part of stakeholders' needs and perspectives. So what you kind of do here in this phase is that you form a stakeholder group. So in your organization, you have various different departments. So you should go ahead and determine or even have a person that represents each department on this particular stakeholder group. So then what happens here is that you get to understand, how each department uses AI and how each department views what are the risks of AI for their particular department. And one way of doing this is that very simply, giving a survey of questions, asking, individuals in the department, what is each person's AI readiness? How does each person use AI? What is the impact of AI on the company? And then also too, as well, forming a focus group. So this is where you can get open-ended questions to help understand the organization's, AI safety readiness and the knowledge of stakeholders. So this is pretty much getting the requirements, getting the input, trying to understand your organization, because different departments, will have different AI systems, and therefore they have certain different types of risks or certain things that they may be concerned about. So we kind of did a survey or so in a Gen AI for Managers workshop that we did about in December, I believe it was December 2024 that we did, that was held at DPI. So we had a group of managers come into the office and we asked them, for example, the first question here says, what specific areas or processes in your company is Gen AI currently being used? And we found here that majority was using it for, innovation. You can see other particular elements too as well. And then in terms of what is their knowledge, current knowledge of Gen AI? So you can see here is, there's across the board here, majority here, some of them, they know about it, they've heard about it. And then there's some that are very advanced. They do, create new particular Gen AI models. And then there's some that, have never heard of it before and it was their first time. So it's all across the board here. So the call to action here is that, if we look at what you kind of need to do in your organization. So first of all, that all departments in the organization need to be involved in creating a responsible AI strategy. And when you do so, you need to embody design thinking principles that embody responsible AI practices. And you have to remember here, okay, and it's very, very important, that the AI models, they are a reflection of the engineering that designed them, because it is the engineers that take those models and implement it. So how well they do is a reflection of those particular human engineers that have kind of created them. Same thing in terms of the training and the design and the algorithms too as well. So I think that's very, very important to make a distinction and make it clear. And also as well, in terms of building automatic testing and debugging tools from software engineering to detect and explain edge case biases. Because a lot of times there are certain AI models, they do well for the majority, but there are certain edge cases or so where it doesn't, do very well at. So that's the first part, is regarding about stakeholder needs. So once you have that, then the second pillar is education. In terms of developing, what are particular types of workforce training programs or particular courses and so forth in order to kind of train individuals and employees on responsible AI. So there are several things here. So first of all is that, a lot of the universities, are kind of, doing this where they are creating, workforce development programs and responsible AI. So Discovery Partners Institute also, kind of does that too as well, and as well as, UIC too as well. And the important thing here is, a lot of these kind of programs is kind of very course-based and, very theoretical or very kind of, conceptual, but we need to kind of create this kind of experiential learning program. So what that basically means is that in order for students to kind of understand responsible AI, we should work with industry. So that's where industry comes in and companies come in, and UIC Business, has this, where you have companies and they say, hey, you know what? Here are the actual AI problems that we are experiencing. And perhaps even the employers can provide some type of a data set, right? That gives the students the opportunity to understand what are the risks, in this particular AI, and in order to, and also, work with that. So I think it's very, very important here. And when you're creating these kind of experiential learning programs, as you can see here in this kind of a simple kind of diagram here, is that you need to have, first of all, a project team that's responsible for doing this kind of implementation of this kind of curriculum. And then you also need to have an advisory board. So these are folks, executives from industry, from various different companies. So you might have a CEO, you might have a chief AI officer, or so forth, that is on this board to kind of give you the input and say, hey, here's what we are here's what's happening in our industry. How can students, kind of prepare with the skill set to be able to, contribute to the company, after graduation? Because a lot of times what we see is that there's these particular gaps between what employers are looking for and in terms of what the students have. And then also while having a working group to kind of do this kind of implementation and getting feedback, and like I said earlier, regarding about asking particular questions or so forth to help develop a kind of a curriculum there. So what can be done here? So what's the call to action here? So like I showed you earlier, we created a Gen AI workshop for managers. You can do something similar as well for your organization. Gauge to see what is the knowledge and experience, and what are particular issues that people are having with Gen AI and also AI models. And there are many, many, AI skills and leadership programs. So I'm sure like in India and all around the world, there's all these different programs. Here in Chicago, for example, Northwestern University has something called AI Strategies for Business Information, as well as UIC Business too as well. There are also training certification programs. So here in Chicago, I'm part of an organization here called AI 2030, which is trying to advocate responsible AI by the year 2030. So it started in Chicago, but now it's being expanded to other cities in the U.S. and also around the world too as well. So there's offices that we have all around the world too as well. So for example, there is this kind of this certification program that makes you become a certified responsible AI leader. I actually took this program. I'll actually mention a little more about this later. IEEE, if you know, IEEE is the Institute for Electrical and Electronic Engineers. They're the world's largest professional engineering organization. They even also have a certification program that is called Certify AI as well, to help individuals to be able to assess, their AI particular models for responsible AI. And also as well, there are many responsible AI education institutes. So I'm sure, for the Indian folks here, you're very familiar with Infosys, a very large, IT company. Also, they do a lot of stuff here in the U.S. I actually also work with someone that I know from Infosys. And Infosys, they have something called a Knowledge Institute. So you can listen to podcasts regarding responsible AI. You can have lots of reports that they have regarding about what's the state of responsible AI industry. So it kind of gives you a better idea in terms of where we are and where we need to go. There's also another organization called Responsible AI Institute, and like I said earlier, AI 2030 too as well. So in terms of the certified, responsible AI leaders program from AI 2030 that I took last year, so basically it's looking at AI risk management, how to operationalize responsible AI. We had actually a lot of leaders that gave talks on ethics and responsible AI. There were real world case studies of examples of where AI failed and what could have been done in terms of responsible AI. Some expert-led workshops, and at the end it was a capstone project where everybody created a project to kind of take the responsible AI principles and practically apply them. If you want to know more information about this program, what it was, I have the URL here that you can have a look at if you're interested. And then what AI 2030 does is that they do an AI monthly event. So in Chicago, they actually do it at Discovery Partners Institute, my former organization. They do it every first Tuesday of the month. But they also have it in other cities too as well. And they also do sometimes it virtual. So you might be able to find if there's one in your particular area. If you go to luma.com/AI 2030, you will see all the different AI 2030 events that include Tech Pulse 2030. If you are in Chicago, the next event that will be here in person is March 31st on the Reimagining Healthcare with AI Research, Trials, and Human Impact. And you can find that here on this website that I have here. Okay, so that's regarding about AI 2030. The next one I'm going to mentioning about is regarding about IEEE. So IEEE has this certified AI program. It's coming from the IEEE Standards Association. So if you're not familiar with IEEE, they do a lot of stuff for creating standards. So for example, everybody here uses Wi-Fi, right? So Wi-Fi is a standard that was created by IEEE. And I'm sure here folks in India all are familiar with IEEE because there's lots of IEEE student organizations and chapters and sections there. So in terms of the IEEE certified AI a program is an accreditation program, and what it's designed to do is to help certify a company's AI system that they're responsible and ethical. So you take something like a 3-day kind of program, and then you get this kind of certification that says that you can now use this to be able to, help companies to look at their AI systems and see if they are responsible. So you can see here that here is the kind of the link from the standards.IEEE.org You can Google it too as well to find about more about this program. Is it something that you want to join? They have programs virtual, so you pay a certain amount of money in order to get this particular certification. And then also too as well, everybody knows about micro credentialing, right? So these are like very kind of maybe kind of micro kind of courses or so out there. And there's many AI micro credentialing programs that are out there that give you specific AI skill sets. So another project that I'm working on is with some high school students here in Chicago, is that trying to evaluate these responsible AI credentialing programs. Because there's so many programs out there, and a lot of times is that, how useful are they? Do they provide the particular skill sets that actually employers are looking for? So we're doing a evidence-based, framework, and we're trying to determine, what makes credentials trustworthy and valuable. So what are the particular features of AI credentialing programs that can be used? So for example, if you and your organization want to create your own responsible AI credentialing program, we're going to try to give you like a practical toolkit that says, okay, here's what the things that you kind of need if you are developing that particular credentialing program. So that's the education component. The third pillar is regarding about the policies. I'm going to talk about policy first. So this is in terms of like, what is kind of the AI governance and what are the legal kind of policy implications. So first of all, I want to turn to you. There was an article that I wrote along with a professor. His name is Lav Varshney from UIUC. Now he is director of AI at Stony Brook University. And it was basically an op-ed editorial article here that talked about, AI is here. How can we make it more kind of responsible and more kind of safer? So this was actually published in the Chicago Tribune, which is a newspaper here in Chicago. So in terms of responsible AI, in the University of Illinois system, which contains 3 universities, so UIC is one of them. I mentioned about Urbana-Champaign, and the third one is University of Illinois Springfield. So there's an organization part of the University of Illinois system that's called the Institute for Government and Policy Affairs. And I'm part of this science and technology working group, which is chaired by a UIC professor by the name of Dr. Jeremy Riel. And what we want to do here is that we want to create policy briefs and look at legislation related to AI in Illinois and also other states. And the important thing here is that how can we inform policy and lawmakers on responsible AI, right? What can we do to kind of educate them? And I feel that it's not just for Chicago, but it's for everybody, all the different, cities, everybody around the world, right? You have different types of, ways of doing things. How do you go ahead and create particular, policies that people can use to make forward with. So you want to know more about, our particular working group. There is this website here. And also as well, myself and Jeremy, we won a Research Scholar Award as part of this IGPA. So we're looking at a policy for responsible AI research, innovation, and education in terms of for Gen AI. So this is a research project. It's a 2-year project that we're working together. Okay, so in terms of the policy call to action here, so I think in here, what you kind of need to do is that you need to look at, whether there are existing responsible AI frameworks that have governance and that have policy, and how can your organization create responsible AI governance and policy and enforce it. So what are these issues that you need to think about in AI policy? Well, you got to think about trust and transparency of AI models. You got to think about ethical principles and guidelines, responsibility and accountability. How do you address bias and fairness, safety and security, adaptability and continuous learning, and legal and regulatory compliance? But these are not all the issues, but here are some of the issues that can help you give you kind of a start. So one of the things that we have done already in the IGPA technology working group is we just launched it. So it's called the AIPolicyAtlas.com. So if I can go ahead and swap over to this here, and I can go to this AIPolicyAtlas.com. What we've done here is that, we've actually done some research where we looked at all the different types of legislation that is out there in various different states. And what we've kind of done here is that we kind of done this AI policy map. So we can kind of see here that what are different states, for example, in this particular state, we can view what's the different AI, legislature here in terms of what are some of the laws. So for example, if we look at Illinois, we can see here how many bills do we have from every different years. And then we can see what exactly are those particular bills. So this kind of gives you kind of geographic, kind of an outlook in terms of like what types of AI legislation that they are here in the US. So this is something that we just, kind of created. So this is good for a lot of people, that are not maybe technically inclined, but they can kind of see what's happening in terms of policy in a visual manner. And to return back to here, and also as well, we also have a podcast. It's called the Future Tech and Policy Podcast. So we have professionals there. I've also been on a podcast there before, and you can see previous kind of podcast episodes that we have there. And that podcast is moderated and created by Dr. Jeremy Riel. So if you find this podcast in Apple, you can also find it on YouTube and other popular channels too as well. You can subscribe. And we basically talk about, what are some of the AI things that are happening, these days. And we just kind of have this kind of like free form kind of panel discussion. So that's there if you want to learn more about that. Okay, and then finally here, the last part has to do with the certification. So that's ensuring that AI models meet ethical standards. So in terms of certification, this is work that I've been working with a professor at UIUC. His name is called Gagandeep Singh. And so what he's done here is that he's created this kind of this quantification framework. So one of the problems is that with AI models, they are a black box, right? You can't really know what exactly is kind of in there unless the AI model itself is open source or so. So the thing is that for a lot of organizations, when they're looking at AI models, how do they know that these AI models, do not have any particular element of risk? So therefore, you have to look at what are the inputs into the AI model. So what are the prompts, right? So if you know generative AI, you have particular prompts. So for example, here you can see that this is in the case of for medical is what is the treatment for the cause of paracetamol poisoning? So if you're in the medicine field, you probably know this. Depending on a large language model, it may give you a wrong answer. So in this case here, it gives you activated charcoal, acetylcholine, and so forth, and it gives you the output of vomit. And so this is not correct. So it's a 98% risk score that is not correct. Now, the thing is that there might be another large language model that you do, and you do the same prompt to as well, and it gives you correct answer. So the thing is that which particular AI model, right, should you be using? So this is where Gagandeep and his students or so have created this type of certification framework. So the whole idea here is that let's say you have 3 different models that are out there at an organization, and you want to choose which one you want to do. So of course, you're going to choose the one that has the lowest risk score. But how do you do that? So this is where we want to create this kind of certification where if you have a particular model, what are your inputs, what are some of the prompts that you're going to be used. You can use that for testing. And then based upon the results that you get from the actual large language model, then it can go ahead and evaluate and figure out, how risky or so this particular model is. So he's written some particular papers, on that. You can find that on arXiv. And as a result of this, we have this project, which is through the National AI Resources, which is part of the government organizations, if you know US, in the US NSF, National Science Foundation too as well. So we got these high performance computing resources that we got from a grant. And we're using that, right now to run these particular certification because it requires a lot of space, a lot of computing power that cannot just be run, on local machines. We're going to have results on that. We're going to explain about that in the NAIR meeting that is actually happening in Washington, D.C. In about mid-March or so. So we will be presenting some of the results there, and hopefully we can be able to have another paper to kind of explain this more in detail. So I'm towards the end here. So what are the things that, to take from this, kind of a masterclass? So the conclusions are, first of all, existing AI frameworks, they address risk management at a systems level, but you need to look at but they overlook the specific needs and challenges. So I think that is something that is very, very important and lacking. And also as well, you can see that our conceptual framework, is a kind of an overall, right? So it looks at, the four components that you need to look at: stakeholder needs, you need to look at education. How do you use particular programs, develop particular programs to be able to meet those stakeholder needs in terms of looking at policy, as well as certification. And the hope here is that that will help to kind of seek to bridge this gap. And the last important thing here is that responsible AI development requires collaboration. So it's not just only the engineers, it's not just only the technical folks. It requires researchers, practitioners, and the broader community. So it's very inclusive of all individuals. I have a list of references here that if you want to know more about this topic. So the ones that I have here that is highlighted with my name, these are publications that I have kind of created along with some of my colleagues here. So you can see here, this is the online for the Chicago Tribune article, as well as the paper in IEEE. And there's also a paper that we had wrote in the Discovery Partner Institute, which is how safe is your large language model. If you're interested in that, reach out to me, and you can be able to see more of that. There's lots of books out there. One that I would recommend is from Noel Russell regarding about scaling responsible AI from enthusiasm to execution. If you want to connect with me, here's my social media kind of coordinates. Yeah, I'm done here. Thank you for your attention. And I'm not sure if there's any particular questions, but I thank you for coming here to listen. And hopefully you can be able to take this and be able to implement that within your organization. So with that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Chin. That was very insightful, very apt topic in today's day and age. And there are a lot of questions that have come in. But what I want to do is, in the interest of time, I want to invite Dr. Jeff Jewett to run us through his presentation, tell us about the programs at UIC so that we can also get an overview of that, and then take combined Q&A. Is that all right? Great.
That sounds good.
Dr. Jeff, before I hand over the screen to you, I quickly want to run our second poll for the evening as well for our audience. This poll is going to be live on your screens right now. So those of you, I see around 160 people still in this room. If you can respond to this poll question, that would be great. Our question for you this evening is, what is your primary reason for considering to study in the United States? What are the driving factors that are motivating you to consider United States as one of your destination countries? I'm going to keep this poll live for a few seconds, so do respond if you can. I do see some responses coming in, and this is quite insightful as well. So keep those responses coming in. I'm going to keep the poll open for a few seconds. All right. In the interest of time, this is again indicative. I'm going to quickly share the results that we are seeing. So around 25% are, sorry, the biggest motivator is strong career opportunities. So they look at US as a strong career opportunities, as a place with strong career opportunities. The next highest is access to innovation and research and international exposure, which is split at 25% each. And better salary potential is the third option over here. I'll link salary potential with career opportunities. I would ideally look at that as a combination of approximately 50% of the people being motivated by career opportunities that the United States presents. With that, Dr. Jewett, I'm going to hand over the audience to you, and it would be great if you could run us through your presentation.
Thank you, Sanjay, and thank you, Dr. Chen, on an excellent presentation. Again, I'm Jeff Jewett. I serve as Assistant Dean for Recruitment for the College of Business, and it's my pleasure to share a little bit about the University of Illinois Chicago College of Business and some of our programs. I always like to point out this first picture that we have. This is actually when you walk off the train to get to the UIC campus. This is the view I see every day of getting off the train. And what's great is our central location. So we are just minutes from the business hub of Chicago, minutes from the lakefront. In fact, you can take the train land from New Delhi, which is about a 14-hour flight, I believe. Take the train for about 300 rupees and be on campus in 45 minutes. So pretty remarkable that in the same day you can leave India and be on UIC's campus in a matter of hours. Okay. Some of the things that set us apart is our high return on investment. We are a state-supported institution, so our tuition fees are generally lower than what you would see at other colleges and universities. We also have a great deal of flexibility with all of our programs. In fact, with most of our programs, which you'll take is a very solid, rigorous core class, a rigorous core set of courses, and then you'll typically have about half of your courses that are electives that you can take to mix and match and have a really robust student experience. We are also designated a Carnegie One research institution. That means our faculty are engaged in the highest level of research possible. There are only about 150 Carnegie One research institutions in the U.S. and just a handful in the state of Illinois. We also want to make sure that you have the soft skills to be successful in the workplace. So we have what's called our iLead series of courses that implement improv techniques to make sure that you have strong negotiation skills, great presentation skills, and a strong professional presence as well. So not only will we instill the hard skills on you, we'll make sure that you have a strong set of soft skills as well. In terms of some of our rankings, our programs are ranked by QS World University Rankings, and our MBA program is ranked by US News and World Report. In addition, the university is consistently ranked for campus diversity and social mobility, and ranked as a #1 for best value as well. To give you a brief overview of our program, we have a really set of robust programs, including an MBA and a number of specialized master's programs in accounting, business analytics, finance, an online HR management program, management information systems, marketing, and supply chain and operations management. A number of these are also STEM designated, which means that you can receive up to 3 years of OPT upon graduation. With our MS programs, no work experience is required for these. You can come straight from undergrad, and usually our students have anywhere from 0 to 5 years of work experience coming in to any of our MS programs. And these can be completed typically in 2 to 3 semesters on a full-time basis, so anywhere from about a year to a year and a half. And 5 of them are STEM designated, so our programs in accounting, business analytics, finance, management information systems, and supply chain are all STEM designated. Next, I want to talk a little bit about our flexible MBA program. This can be done on a full-time basis and can start in the fall or spring semesters. While we do prefer 2 years of post-bachelor's work experience, those with strong backgrounds, typically a high GPA and internship experience, can be waived from that post-bachelor's work experience requirement. This program is 42 credit hours in length and typically can be completed in 3 to 4 semesters. So anywhere from about a year and a half to 2 years completion time frame for the MBA. And with our flexible MBA, you'll have a strong core curriculum where you'll see typical business courses like accounting, finance, and organizational behavior. And then you can concentrate in such areas as business analytics, finance, HR management, or marketing. We also have a number of joint degrees that if you want to get technical experience in 2 different areas, you can do that. What's also great is that if you want to get an MBA, but also want that STEM designation, if you, for instance, do an MBA with MS in business analytics, you will get that STEM certification to allow you for up to 3 years of OPT. What's great about the joint degree is that you get both degrees at the same time. It reduces the amount of credit hours if you had completed these separately, and it also offers a cost savings as well too. One of the great resources that we have that while you're checking out different programs is our Business Connect website. This offers an overview of all of our degree programs. You can check out what prerequisite courses may be required for some of our specialized master's programs, along with required courses and elective offerings offered within each. We also have a number of ways for you to get involved outside of the classroom. So we have about 30 different business organizations that really run the gamut of different interests. So if you have an interest in analytics or in finance, we have a club or student organization for you to get involved with. And this is a great way to connect with your classmates and also meet those professional connections and develop your network as well too. We also have a dedicated business career center that will help with networking strategies, help develop your resume, make sure that you're prepared to interview with top companies as well. And it's a great resource that's available to you from day one. And if there's two pieces of advice I can give you is to one, get involved with one or more professional organizations and get involved with the Business Career Center from day one. That will definitely help make your experience the best that it can be, and also make sure that you are set up for placement success upon graduation. And UIC Business brings on over 200 different companies on campus each year. And this is a who's who of companies and a sampling of companies that have hired some of our recent grads. So we're really proud, and it's a really diverse set of companies. I think that's one great thing about the Chicago job market is there's not one particular industry that dominates. We have a large presence in finance, healthcare, technology, in transportation that are all represented in the Chicago region. In terms of the application requirements, it is done fully online. For any individual that graduated from an institution outside of the United States, the overall application cost will be $180. We do an internal credential evaluation fee. We do not accept credential evaluations outside of UIC, such as WES. Each application requires 2 short application essays, your resume, transcripts, and then the TOEFL or IELTS, and we do not have a preference of one over the other. And then the GMAT or GRE is optional for all programs. The MBA also requires an interview that's done over Zoom. And then we do require letters of recommendation for most of our programs, which can be professional or academic. You still have ample time to apply for the fall semester. The deadline for fall is April 1st, and then classes will start at the end of August. I realize I've presented a lot of information in a short amount of time, so definitely follow up with our graduate business team. You can reach us at gradbusiness@uic.edu. And we can follow up with any additional questions that you may have. So now I want to turn it back over to Sanjay and Dr. Chen that we can answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Dr. Jeff. This was wonderful and very insightful. I'm going to start with my first question from the audience, and I'm sure this usually comes up, is around the application fee waiver. I wanted to check if you offer application fee waiver to attendees of today's masterclass.
We do not. So that would be something that would need to be paid.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Great. So I'm going to start taking audience questions, and I'm going to start with the most awaited question. And Dr. Chin, this is coming your way. This is from Shaima Afreen, who's asking, what problems do companies face when they start using AI, and how do they solve for them? So I know it's very difficult to capture all the problems, but if you want to talk about the most common challenges that companies see in implementing AI today.
Yeah, I think maybe the most common challenges that I see is that, is like, how do you even get started? Because I think the thing is that, AI has been so embedded, it's become very ubiquitous, right? And the AI systems have been so ingrained, and it's so kind of like complicated, that it's hard to kind of sometimes figure out, what it is. That's why it's very important that I stressed earlier that we have this stakeholder needs kind of requirement, because in that way you get to really do almost like an inventory, right? To kind of see that each department, what particular AI system, are they using? Are they using ones that they have created themselves or organizations created? Many times organizations cannot create their own AI system, so they use like maybe other third party, like for example, Salesforce. I'm sure a lot of your organizations, are Salesforce clients that use Salesforce CRM, tools. For example, Microsoft. A lot of people here are probably using Microsoft technologies too as well, right? And they also have AI models too as well. But how is it that that's being used in the daily life? How is it being communicated? How is it also being used by customers? Let's say you're an organization that you are customer facing to as well. So I think it's very important that in order to answer these particular problems, or even try to find out what those problems are, right? You need to do this kind of stakeholder analysis, and it's very important to have this kind of stakeholder group that can help to drive that. And it's very important to have your executive, leaders to be, on board and support this. So hopefully that answers the question. But it is very complicated for sure, and that's why you need to have the various important folks involved to drive that conversation.
Makes sense. So as to get buy-in from everyone, have that uniformity and acceptance of the changes that are going to come with the AI as well. Ria, your question is similar about the challenges that industries face, since your question is similar to what Shaim asked. I'm not going to take it up separately, but I hope this gives you clarity or direction as well. Dr. Jeff, there's a question coming up, and possibly it's for you to take up. This is from Sinat Chawali, who's asking what support services are available specifically for Indian students. So if you do something different for the Indian student community that you have on campus, if not, even if you want to talk in broader terms of student services available to the broader community, that would be great.
Yeah, so all international students have access to our our Office of International Services. They will help with your I-20 process and make sure that you have your visa. We also have a very strong Indian Students Association on campus that I think that's a great way to make some connections. And then for all international students, definitely the resources of the Business Career Center are a big help, because we realize that finding job placement in the U.S. can always be a challenge. So making sure that you make those connections early on and be proactive, that it's definitely a relationship that you need to build. But we do have resources available for all international students to make sure that they're successful while they're here. Oh, you're muted, Sanjay.
My apologies for that. Dr. Chin, I'm going to come to you with the next question. And this is around irresponsible AI, right? So what can companies do to protect or prevent irresponsible use of AI? There's a huge risk about people animating content, or you're faking or spoofing calls. So how does one prepare for that and prevent that irresponsible use of AI?
So I think to prepare for that, first of all, you need to kind of acknowledge and kind of detect that, right? So I think that is where you need to have specific tools so I think it's very important here that you need to have specific responsible AI tools for doing this. So for example, Infosys is actually one of the leaders in this. So they have a responsible AI toolkit that actually is they made it open source, so they actually have code for this that can help you to test your model, or doing in terms of like prompt engineering to determine because there's certain levels of risk, right? So there's a level of risk, like for example, a lot of times and research has shown is that you can actually fool the AI model in order to give something that might be racist, or it might be something that is that is not ethical. It depends on how you write the prompt, right? So there's also this education that you need to know in terms of this prompt engineering. And so, for example, the RAI, Responsible AI Toolkit that Infosys has, is that they actually have a module which is looking at the actual prompt itself and determining, even before going into the actual AI model, is the prompt itself is also trying to trick the AI model in order to give something, or even if there is something within that prompt itself that will be non-ethical or provide some particular bias. So there's the prompt part, and then of course then there is the output part, right? The output of the response that comes out from the AI model.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Chin. That was very insightful. I'm going to continue a little bit on this line. And by the way, before I move on, sorry, a big thank you to Noor Halima, who asked that particular question. This was a very relevant question, so thanks for asking that, Noor. I'm going to continue on this line. And the next question which I want to take up is around if you So AI keeps changing, it's evolving, right? It's developing on an ongoing basis. So it's in a constant flux and there's new developments coming every day. So how can the framework that you shared can help someone keep learning about these changes without feeling overwhelmed? And this is a question which has been asked by Vandana.
Yeah, no, very good question. I mean, AI definitely is changing like leaps and bounds, like almost like every second or so, right? You can see that there's another different AI model out there. ChatGPT or so has a new, large language model and so forth. Definitely it is very, very overwhelming. So I think, in terms of that, I think this conceptual framework, the way I see it is that that's why we need to look at an overall, right? We need to look at an overview. The way how you implement it will be different depending on the organization. But I think overall, this doesn't change, right? No matter how the AI is evolving or so, this is something that I believe, will still remain static. The details within each particular module of that responsible AI framework may be particularly different. And that's why you need to find different, kind of champions or so to be able to do that. And also look at to other, responsible AI organizations like AI 2030 that will do that heavy lifting, right? That will tell you here to make sure that you are informed, right? So it's very important, to be informed of this, and then this is where you can, take that and determine, how you're going to do with it. So yeah, it's always a constant, learning, and that's why these micro-credential programs are also very important because those are the ones that will be constantly be updated depending on the feedback from participants that take the program, as well as from the employers, the industries that are, using that to kind of assess the individual. So hopefully that answers the question.
It does. Gives a great insight. And Vandana, thank you for asking that question. It was a very good question. Uh, Dr. Chin and Dr. Jeff, I'm going to continue on this particular line itself. And I'm going to rephrase a question which has been asked. So this is a question from Rahul Patel. He's talking about initiatives taken to enhance student experience. But I'm going to adapt this to talk about what UIC is doing to adapt to changing times in terms of curriculum. So how are you making sure that the curriculum is up to date, it's incorporating best industry practices, and keeping up to date with all the changes that are happening in teaching methodologies and approaches? So either of you who wants to take this up?
Yeah, so for each of our graduate programs, all of them will have AI embedded into their curriculum. So I think that's really exciting. And then a number of our faculty are involved in an AI task force to make sure that all disciplines are heavily engaged and they share ideas. I've sat in some of the virtual lunch and learns. I know Dr. Chen can probably speak more from a classroom experience, but it's definitely something that's coming from top leadership. Our dean is very invested in AI and wants to make sure that we are a leader in it. But I think Dr. Chen can probably expand upon some of the things that the college is doing.
Yeah, for sure. So I know that, for the IDS, department, we do have certain like AI kind of business panels, where we invite, I myself actually, chaired and moderated a business panel last year or so, inviting folks, from Nokia, from, Accenture, those type of, companies, and getting their insights. And I think it's very important for students to attend these particular types of events. And that's why, where Jeff kind of showed earlier in his slide regarding the business clubs, right? Because the thing is that when you take particular courses, right, you're learning about the concepts, you're learning about the theory, you're learning about these things. But in terms of understanding, what are companies facing? How are they doing it? To get that particular perspective, you need to go ahead and attend these particular events. So like I said earlier, I'm also part of, I mentioned about IEEE. UIC also has an IEEE student organization. And, we also have, AI events there, too as well. So for example, next week we're doing an event regarding about AI and also in quantum. Quantum computing is also something that is, very, very popular. Chicago is considered the quantum, kind of hub or so. So, educating, students, kind of on that, because that's where, AI is, heading towards, right? Is in terms of, because we know that AI systems, they require a lot of power, right? Everybody knows a lot, and the thing is that it takes quite a bit of time in order for it to get the answer. And so quantum is the kind of the next way where we can get things much more quicker because things can run, in parallel and so forth. You have much more, affordances than you have with current, AI systems and AI hardware that we have. So definitely, I would say, if you have the opportunity for students to attend, and even webinars too as well. There's just so many, kind of out there. So definitely take advantage, of those going to those, student organizations and those particular clubs. Including the ones that Jeff mentioned, and also IEEE that I also mentioned too as well.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Jeff and Dr. Alvin, for sharing that. Uh, we are over time, but I do want to take up one question for Dr. Chin over here, if possible. Dr. Chin, this is a question from Mohini, who is asking, are there any sectors where you think that AI is still underutilized?
Sectors that are underutilized. Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I think so. So I think there are particular ones that probably, people don't think too much about, AI. So for example, probably something like construction, right? Because a lot of stuff is, done manually. A lot of stuff is done, people don't think about, what are some of the AI systems in construction. But now you're thinking about, because in construction, you have a lot of machines now that are being driven by AI, algorithms, right? And you have autonomous, vehicles, for example, Caterpillar, right? Caterpillar is a very, world famous, company. They have an office here, like, in Chicago or so, and they have their, Caterpillar tractor. So, how when you go to construction sites, you have a Caterpillar tractor that's moving some material, so forth. Now a lot of these particular machines, have AI built into them, right? But what does that mean in terms of responsible AI? Like, could the actual tractor go off course and do something, or damage some particular thing? Hopefully not or so, right? But the thing is that, has there been any risk assessment for looking at that, right? So I think, those particular industries where we don't really think too much that there is AI, in them, is something that I think that is probably, underutilized or so. Yeah.
Great. So one opportunity industry for sure. Great. So thank you for sharing that, Dr. Chin and Dr. Jeff. This has been wonderful. We are unfortunately over time, so we do need to wrap up this session. But Dr. Chin, if you want to leave some parting advice for our audience on how they can be prepared for this journey ahead, that would be great.
Yeah. So, I mean, definitely there's there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of, noise regarding about, AI. And I think the most important thing is just, just being informed. And I think that's where taking courses and taking credentials and even like attending today's, masterclass or so, getting kind of these kind of opinions and thoughts or so from experts will help you to kind of overcome that particular noise and be able to be informed. And I would say be curious, ask questions. Don't just take the de facto standard that people say or so. Keep challenging yourself. That's only how we're going to make our society and make responsible AI better. So that's, I would say, is my parting.
So keep challenging the status quo. That's wonderful. Dr. Jeff, in case you want to give them any parting advice on how to get started on their journey to coming to UIC, Lihoto Graduate School of Business.
Yeah, definitely do your homework. This is a big decision that you have to make, and that you're, especially if you're as an international student coming across the globe, make sure that this is the right choice for you. UIC has a great portfolio of programs, and we do hope to see you in the near future. But definitely, make sure that you get those questions answered that you have on your mind. And feel free to reach out to us. Not ChatGPT can't answer everything, so.
Yeah.
That's perfect. So perfect advice, very apt, and your very apt note to end this session on. As Dr. Jeff said, do reach out to them in case you have any queries about the school program. In case you need any guidance from us at Seed Global Education, do feel free to reach out. We also run a youth scholarships fund, which does support UIC Lihoto program as well. So in case you're looking to apply to the school, want to know about scholarship options, which program, and get some broad guidance, do feel free to reach out to us or to the UIC team as suggested. With that, I'm going to take
Yeah,
your point.
and one more thing maybe to say is that look at all these different resources, right? You're not all alone, so always look to other particular people and other organizations and so forth. And if you need any more, if there's anything that you want to reach out to me, I put into the chat my email address and my LinkedIn, so I can be contacted there if there's anything else that was not covered here today.
Thank you for that, Dr. Chin. This is wonderful and very apt advice. There's a lot of support and help available, so do feel free to reach out to any of us. There's always guidance available for the right candidates who are interested. Great. With that, thank you everyone for joining us for today's session. It's been a pleasure hosting all of you. I wish you all a great day ahead and all the best for your future journey as well. Thank you, Dr. Chin. Thank you, Dr. Jeff. It's been wonderful hosting the two of you as well. Have a great day ahead.
Thank you. It was a
Thanks,
great
Sanjay.
pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.